Hi, everybody. It's Josh. I've got another movie review for you today. I want to talk about the movie American Fiction. Now, I have been aware of this movie for a while, and I had a ticket to see it, and I've shuffled it around with some other titles for a while, but it has been on my radar, and I've been interested to catch up with it. And then the day that I happened to have another ticket for this movie and was debating whether to go or not or shuffle it around, it was actually nominated for Best Picture and its lead actor for Best Actor. And so I was like, well, now I gotta go. And boy, I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed American Fiction. Now, this is, I believe, the feature directorial and writing debut of Cord Jefferson, who is a writer with a lot of TV experience on things like The Good Place, and I think that HBO Watchmen show, he worked on that as well. And this is adapted from a novel, but it really seems that Cord Jefferson has a nice cinematic, authorial voice, directorial voice right out of the gate. And this movie's great. I can understand the buzz. I think there's some surprise in some corners that this is up for Best Picture. It just seemed like a little indie comedy that kind of. I would have assumed that it had escaped a lot of people's radar, but Jeffrey Wright is a fantastic actor, and it's about time he had a vehicle of this kind of level, and he really is amazing in this movie. The premise of American Fiction, if you see the trailer for this movie, it seemed to me anyway that there was a very interesting, funny premise, but a real danger that this was going to be a one-note kind of comedy sketch of a movie. This is a movie about a black writer named Thelonious Ellison, played by Wright. His nickname is Monk. He writes very heady books, influenced heavily by mythology and things for intelligent people. And he's floundering. He's not. He's had a couple of marginal hits in the past, but his current stuff is not selling. And he sees around him other black writers who are creating sensations around books that play into certain stereotypes and tropes that make white liberal readers salivate. And he doesn't want anything to do with it until one day he decides, as just a joke to blow off steam, he writes a book kind of in character as a kind of a hood thug, and he writes this book that is, in his view, just a joke, a parody. And for a laugh, he sends this manuscript to his agent, played by John Ortiz, the great John Ortiz, who's delightful in this movie, and but not asking him to try and sell it. It's simply to blow off steam. Watch the trailer, you know what happens. He sells the book under a pseudonym. It becomes a huge sensation. There's people bidding for the movie rights and the marketing and all that stuff. So from the trailer, it looks like this is just going to be that joke over and over and over again. And I've actually heard the criticism from people who've seen the movie that all the funny parts are in the trailer. I don't think I agree with that. I think there's a lot of very funny parts in this movie, but what I think is throwing people off is that all of those parts, the parts of him acting like this pseudonym character, Stag R. Lee, which is itself a reference. There's only one scene in the movie where you actually see Keith David and another actor actually appear out of his imagination and act out part of this book. And I was personally worried that the movie was just going to be this, that it was going to be a bunch of scenes of him having to juggle his real life and the lie, and then all of these scenes of what the book is like. And that, it was very, very funny, that material, but it could get old very fast. And I was personally delighted that there's so much more to this movie. The real content of this movie is the personal life of Monk and his family, his aging mother, who is suffering from dementia, his sister, played by Tracy Ellis Ross, his brother, played by Sterling K. Brown, and his romantic life and his daily life, his interactions with other authors. All that stuff gives this movie a depth that you rarely see in comedies, and you rarely see in small-scale, nice indie movies like this much anymore. So I was delighted by this movie. I think that it's worth seeing. It's full of lovable, interesting characters. All the characters contain surprises. Adam Brody is in it as a kind of sleazy producer who wants to turn Staggerly's book, the title of which I will not say in my video so that I don't get demonetized. That's a fun turn. Leslie Uggams, by the way, plays his mother, and she's wonderful. This movie's great. There's things I haven't even mentioned. There's minor characters and subplots that are just interesting and surprising. I can understand why this movie would make it into the 10. I don't know if it's Best Picture material, but I certainly enjoyed watching it. So as to the criticism a lot of people have of the movie, that it doesn't know what to do with its premise, I won't get into spoiler territory, but I will say I only agree with that perhaps in regards to the ending. It feels kind of like the screenplay doesn't know what to do in the end. But as far as the lion's share of the story, not focusing as much on the double life and the fake book that he wrote, and focusing more on his personal life, to me that is the saving grace of this movie, and that's what makes it great. I also think thematically this movie practices what it preaches in a way that very few movies do, especially movies that are concept comedies like this, where it is about the lives of black characters that are deep, that don't fit into any expectations or stereotypes, that are interesting, that feel real, and that are human, and it's not trying to defy your expectations with like cheap superficial stuff. It is just a good movie about people. So this was a real pleasant surprise. American Fiction is excellent. I heartily recommend it, and I only have a couple of titles to catch up on now in my Oscar prep. I just watched well, you know what, I watched May December. It was on my list, but I don't think that movie, I think it might have gotten a screenplay nomination, but it didn't get any acting nominations, which is kind of surprising. I'll talk about May December in another video. I also saw Zone of Interest. I'll see if I can scrape together any words about that movie. But that's it for right now. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you again very soon. Josh out.